Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a divorce mediator in St. Louis, Missouri. I have the pleasure of discussing the future of litigation and online mediation services with Winter Wheeler, a prominent lawyer, arbitrator, and mediator in Atlanta, Georgia. Part of what you're kind of alluding to is the current status of litigation. So regardless of what county you're in, what state you're in, it has significantly changed. And almost, like I kind of hear it from an expert standpoint, we're kind of continuing to do what we need to do, right? From a person in litigation, though, and from the attorneys that I'm talking to, can we adequately represent, from an attorney standpoint, can they adequately represent their client? If we just continue with current litigation, are we going to get to the point that all of these cases are going to be appealed at some point in the future? To me, that's the scary part is we still work to do stuff that eventually is going to say, ugh, that COVID case, their jury pool was ridiculous, or they tried to do this thing on screen and there was technology issues. You can't guarantee one person has technology issues and you have 10 people on the line. You are all kind of going slower. So let's talk about that a little bit, because it leads into why mediation is really a great option. But the current status of litigation in Missouri is basically not moving. That's just what's happening.
Yeah.
And in other places too.
Yeah. That's happening all over the country. And you are right. What we are going to see are appeals like you have never seen before. So we can move forward with a lot of these things. They're just going to be appealed. We are creating more problems than we need, and for no reason. So, like you mentioned specifically, slow internet, someone dropping out. And sometimes you don't even notice someone has dropped out. You've been in that Zoom where you're paying attention to what you're doing and what your presentation is. And then suddenly you're like, where's Mike? Oh, Mike's gone. Well, how long has Mike been gone? We don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
So then at that point, what do you do? So then you have a conversation about whether you do that testimony over again. Do you play a recorded testimony? Do you let the jurors read a transcript? But then how was the transcript taken? Did you use a court reporter? Did you use a digital transcription service? A lot of people are using the digital transcription service. Zoom has its own transcription process that's going on right now, which works pretty darn well. But I can imagine an intelligent attorney using every single one of these alternatives as a reason for an appeal, no matter what. It doesn't matter how.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It could be the best decision. It could be the best decision, and it doesn't matter. It's going to turn into an appeal. It's going to become an expensive process, and we need to do our best to minimize these things. And personally, I think it's the bias situation, the selection bias in the jury selection. That's going to be the biggest issue. But yes, all of these other issues are going to become problems. We consider, what happens in an actual jury deliberation process, right? So, you have a 4-person, and in person, the 4-person is almost always the strongest, toughest person in the room. But what does that look like online?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the person who maybe had the strongest internet the whole time?
Mm.
Is that the person who thinks they heard the most? Is that the person who thinks they took the best notes because they heard it? Who knows? And right now we don't have a way of preventing people from taking notes, inappropriate notes, because nobody's there at your house to grab the notebook from you before you leave the courthouse. And there's no one there to make sure you aren't simultaneously like off to the side Googling whatever piece of information in real time. It's one thing to violate a court order, which of course you shouldn't do, but it's one thing to do it when you get home and it's kind of a distant memory. And it's a whole other to be able to say, oh, he was at such and such address and he was supposed to get to this and he said he did it in X time. And well, my GPS says that you could do that at that time of day, because that's what Waze told me.